Eamon, and welcome back to another episode of Ignite Your Power, the Kathy Mou Podcast. Today, I'm joined by a true trailblazer in the wellness world, Ashley Aakre. Ashley has built and scaled 11 wellness-centered small businesses, created the world's first cinematic infrared yoga studio, and trained hundreds of students in body-led mindful living. She's certified in Ashtanga and Vinyasa in Bali and Yin Yoga here in the US, and she's known for blending ancient yoga philosophy with modern experience design. But what I love most is how Ashley went from being a driven, high-achieving businesswoman, something I can definitely relate to finding yoga and letting it completely transform the way she lives, leads, and cares for herself. And she just literally told me her story of how she just did a retreat, which is so beautiful. Maybe we could just talk about that later. And how you created this beautiful community. But not only that, you're also a mom of 5, a grandmother of 2, and the leader of a fast-growing tech-enabled yoga community in Arizona. So in this conversation, we're going to dive into her journey of balancing ambition with alignment, building profitable wellness ventures, and why sustainable self-care is the ultimate power move for women like us. So let's jump in and say hi to Ashley. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited to just talk to you and understand how you went from high achieving type A, but from being in the business world or the regular world of working in corporate and then doing your own thing and just loving it. Like, look at you, you're exuding so much love and light. I just feel like your calmness. I feel the energy of like this amazingness. And I know you just went to or had a retreat, which is so beautiful, and you created such an amazing community. How did you get from that type of lifestyle that we all really live in and then like shifted into finding your own discovery of what works for you?
I think the secret isn't really that I went from one to the other. It's more that I got better at balancing the two. Because, we'd all love to just become monks and go live out in the woods and leave all of our material possessions behind and live in peace and serenity. But I got to tell you, when I was at the Sedona Yoga Festival, I saw monks arguing about parking a van. So, we put ourselves in the modern world and all of a sudden none of us can be all that Zen. And so it's really not about trying to give up all of the modern day things. It's about just trying to find that peace and that inner stillness and that self-care in every day. And so we can't really transition from one to the other as far as I know, but we can get a lot better at balancing the two and finding a lot more harmony in all the different components of our lives.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for that perspective. That does make so much sense because we do always think it has to be either this or that, but integrating it and making the best version of what your reality truly is. And I know that yoga has been a part of that, right? To help.
Oh my God, a huge part for me. And for so many people that I know. Obviously, I own a yoga studio, so I know a lot of people that do a lot of yoga. So I'm kind of sitting in a unique seat, but it's really, really powerful how much yoga helps people make that shift and find that balance. It's really hard to achieve without some kind of anchor. And yoga is just a huge anchor for a lot of us that reminds us on a regular basis to be present, be mindful, check in, be self-aware. When we try, everybody knows that a meditation practice is incredibly important. I don't know if everybody does, but a lot of people do. But a lot of us find that so hard to achieve. It's like, what am I supposed to do? Just sit in a chair and stare at the wall, and nobody has time for that or patience for that, and it doesn't end up happening, and we're all really inconsistent about it. So for a lot of people, it happens by accident in yoga because they go to take a yoga class as a form of exercise. And then when they go to get in their car at the end of the session, they realize they just lost an hour. For a whole hour, they weren't thinking about their problems. They weren't trying to plan for the future. They weren't thinking about regrets. They just were in the present moment, which is the definition of meditation. And so for so many people, myself included, when we have really busy monkey minds and we're all over the place, that's the only place we ever really see a glimpse of that for the first time is on our yoga mat. And so it's very, very common for people to come back and say, what was that? I want more of that. How do I do that again? And then the yoga practice begins. We start sort of mindfully trying to make that a part of what we're doing in our yoga practice, is trying to find that peace and that meditative space that just creates a little gap in our life where we can be reset so that we can, we fill up our cup so that we can continue to pour it out to others.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That is so true. And I loved how you said it's just taking the time to be present. And present moment is when you're truly living. And most of us can't. And I know we discussed this before, but you said movement is a way of meditation as well, because we need to move our bodies or to get the stress or whatever energy out in order to be still. And I wonder how you discovered that, because it makes so much sense, because when I'm moving or when I go for a walk and I come back and just simple movement, I just feel better. And I just
Yeah, exactly.
peace. And I just never knew why, but if you can explain more of that.
Well, that problem of not being able to find stillness is ancient. Yoga is 5,000 years old, and it started as people just sitting cross-legged in their loincloth trying to be quiet and meditate. And 5,000 years ago, people were like, this is hard. My mind wants to do something else, and I'm having a hard time concentrating on stillness and being present. And so, over many, many, many generations of people, they found that if I move my body, and that's why there's a lot of balancing and stretching in yoga, because it occupies your mind. It gives you something, a point of focus, something that you have to really concentrate on. And when you're deeply concentrating like that, you don't have space in your head to think about other things. So really the point of a 60-minute yoga class isn't even the movement. It's the 3 minutes of shavasana or corpse pose that we have at the end of the class, where we just lay there silently and flat, because for most of us, we're now tired enough and focused enough after an hour of movement or asana. We're now focused enough that we can lay in stillness for 3 to 5 minutes. And again, that's for most people the only place in their life will ever find that kind of stillness. They call it flow state. Some people find it while painting or singing or cooking or cleaning, or there's other meditative type activities, but it's really common for people to get their first glimpse in a yoga practice.
That's so beautiful. Thank you for stating that. And how does yoga help type A and high achievers as well?
Oh my, it's really funny because people who don't practice yoga expect us all to be very zen because we practice so much yoga. It's the opposite. It's like, no, we're all really wound up people that are just trying to find some space. Actually, there's a lot of type A people hanging out in yoga studios because we're all trying to find a little bit of quiet and a little bit of zen. If you're already a really zen, quiet person who has no problem quieting your mind, you're probably not out there looking for things to quiet you down. And also, most people, I think, come to yoga just looking for exercise. They go try a spin class and they go try some weightlifting, and maybe they run or try a HIIT class, and it's just kind of on the list of maybe I'll play pickleball, and they try yoga, but something different happens to them in yoga. While it strengthens and tones our body, it also does something to our mind. So that's usually why people kind of start coming back and get stuck in a continuous loop of yoga and kind of decide that it's more fulfilling than some of the other activities that they've tried. For me, it was when my son was born, my 18-year-old, when he was first born, I was a single mom. He was maybe 2 years old, and I would put him to bed at 8 o'clock, and I was trying to build my first company. I was really stressed out. I was really, really broke. And I was so scared about paying my rent and feeding my kid. And I was trying to start my first company, and I was just so incredibly stressed out. And so someone had suggested that I try yoga. And again, this was a long time ago. So back then it was DVDs, and I would put in this DVD and watch the same one every single night. I'd put my son to bed. I'd watch this 1 hour yoga DVD class. I'd lay there in shavasana for a few minutes, and I would feel ready to get up and get to work. And that's when I would grind and start building my company. It was at night while my son was sleeping when he was a baby. And without that break, because my whole day I had a job, and then I'd go get my son from daycare. I was trying to make dinner and all this stuff. And I just didn't feel like there was any room. There wasn't any space or time. And by spending that hour clearing my head, it not only creates the space and time, it opens up your creativity. When you're so bogged down and exhausted and you're worn out at the end of the day, your creative mind isn't firing. You're not coming up with great inspiration. You're just tired. And sometimes a yoga class feels better than any nap you've ever taken, and you wake up just really refreshed and ready to kind of take on new challenges. And that's how I was able to become an entrepreneur while I had a full-time day job, was by resetting with living room yoga.
Oh, that's amazing. But isn't it beautiful how it brought you so much peace in just letting you know, like, okay, this is my thing to help me get through the day. And, yoga was that thing for you. Even though you didn't even know what it was going to do,
Yeah,
try it.
right.
You just got to try
Yeah.
it sometimes, and you never know where it takes you.
I
And
know, who knew 16 years later I would own this amazing yoga studio. It's just crazy. It feels really surreal now to look back, because there's a lot of times in between there in that 16-year period where I didn't practice yoga at all. It was really inconsistent. I would try it for a while and then I'd get busy or forget and do something else. And then I'd join the gym and take a yoga class again and go, oh yeah, I love this. I forgot. Or get on vacation and take a yoga class on vacation. So I was really sporadic and inconsistent in my practice for on and off my whole life, my whole adult life anyway. It's not like I knew exactly what path I was on right from the start. It was a bumpy road, with a lot of turns in it to get here. But
yeah, that's so beautiful. Thank you for mentioning that it's not like a linear journey, that you did yoga 5 times a week, every week, and it's been an up and down journey of like self-discovery, even with yoga, and how that
right.
really applied to you. And now you open your own first cinematic infrared yoga studio, right? It's so beautiful. So yeah, if you can kind of explain about that, your studio too, which is so cool. You showed me it and I was like in
It's amazing.
yeah.
I'm biased, but it is the coolest yoga studio in the world. It's in North Scottsdale, Arizona. And what we've built is a cinematic infrared yoga studio. Like you said, the infrared refers to 30 overhead infrared panels. And there's a plethora of health benefits to infrared. But for me, the biggest thing is it feels like sunshine or campfire. They put it in incubators for newborn babies. It's very natural heat. It feels like you're outside. And so that's part of our immersive experience. We engage all 5 senses when you're in our studio. So we do have hot yoga, but we also have warm classes and not heated classes. There's more to infrared, in my opinion, than just, making it really hot and sweaty in there, which we do, but we do other things too. Anyway, that's one of our sensory inputs. But the other thing that we did is we painted the whole studio jet black, like a movie theater. And then the entire back wall, which is huge, is that we have a 33-foot wide by 10-foot tall movie theater screen. And then the other walls are mirrors and the floor is reflective. So we put on the screen fake scenery. So one day you're at the beach when the waves are rolling in. One day you're in outer space and there's planets, you're circling around planets. Or for our Inferno mat Pilates, which is a really challenging and heated class, we have fire or lightning bolts on the screen. And so it puts you in this totally immersive, completely surrounded environment, which trains our brains to get into that meditative flow state a whole lot faster. Because when you take class after class after class in this very specific environment that's triggering all of your senses, you really quickly, like Pavlov's dogs, learn where you are. And so you can catch that flow state a lot easier and a lot more often when you come into an immersive environment like that. So it's been just awesome. People are loving it. Everybody that comes there just dies. They're like, what is this place? How did I not know this was here? Oh my gosh, I'm bringing my friends. It's changing lives. It's really cool.
How did you get that vision to open a studio like that?
Well, so as you mentioned, I have a total of 5 kids. I have adopted, step, and biological kids. And actually, I just learned I'm going to be a grandma for the 3rd time. I have 2 grandsons and I'm getting a granddaughter in February. So, yeah, my life was really busy. And so I didn't really have the ability to join a yoga studio for most of my adult life because I had too many kids. So I would go to a big box gym where I could drop my kids in the daycare center. And then I would go take yoga classes in there. But an actual yoga studio I had never been in my whole life. As much as I practiced yoga, it was always either in my living room or at the gym or on vacation. And when I would go on vacation and do yoga, it was so awesome. I mean, it is so incredibly magical to do yoga outside in a beautiful environment, listening to tropical sounds. And so I always felt like the gym wasn't as good. It's a lot harder to get into that meditative state or to, to lose yourself in it in the gym. And it's so easy to lose yourself in it outside. And so I thought, I can't wait till I can join a yoga studio and have that experience like vacation yoga. And I thought it would just be a really elevated, I was picturing a really bougie spa environment where everything was just really first class and all the people were going to be really warm and friendly. So 5 years ago, I moved up to North Scottsdale and my kids are all finally old enough that I can leave them home alone for an hour. And I thought I'm going to go and check out the yoga studios. And there's nothing wrong with the yoga studios that are in North Scottsdale. I'm not knocking them, but they were very similar to my experience at the gym. They were not similar to my experience on vacation. And so at first I was kind of hard on myself. I'm like, geez, Ashley, why are you disappointed? These are really nice people. These places are fine. There's nothing wrong with these yoga studios. And then I started to go in other US cities. Like I went to some yoga studios in New York City, and it was I went to Miami, we went to some in California, and there are some cool yoga studios, but it wasn't the experience I was expecting. And I realized I had just totally overstated in my own mind how really cool it would be at a yoga studio. And so my entrepreneurial brain just said, I wonder if there's other people. Yoga is usually really, really, really dirt cheap. And as a result, it's done in places that are free, like parks or whatever, which is cool. I'm okay with that. But I started thinking, what if I was willing to pay the same amount of money, I would to go to a gym or some, there are people willing to part with their dollars. What if yoga wasn't free? And what if instead we paid for it like we paid for other things? And now we have a really elevated spa environment and the best teachers in the world and really cool audio visual equipment. And we could really improve the experience. And I know I would love that. And so I took a leap and hoped that other people would agree. And thank goodness that it was right on, and people are absolutely just loving it. It was just something that was missing, that didn't exist in the market. And now that it exists, a lot of people are telling me how for years they've dreamed of a place like that. So it's really cool. It's pulling together a really great community of people that are just grateful to have a place like that to gather.
Yeah, and that's beautiful that your entrepreneurial mind was able to create that and to actually put it into, a physical place, which is so awesome. I hope to be there or experience that one day. That would be really cool. But
Oh, I would love to have you. You're welcome anytime.
But what actually inspired you to do the infrared light too? Because I know there's a lot of health benefits, but I think it's still kind of fairly new because a lot of people don't know about it. But it really does help heal the cells or gives it right like some cell nourishment or whatever it does. But how did you learn to add that on into the yoga studio?
Well, again, because my firsthand experience was mostly in big box gyms and on vacation, I didn't have a lot of experience with hot yoga. So my dream yoga studio in my mind wasn't necessarily a hot yoga studio. But then when I started to sort of research the idea and, sort of shop other yoga studios all over the US and see what people are doing, the vast majority of successful yoga studios are hot yoga. And I sometimes in some studios leave a hot yoga class feeling really depleted. I feel really exhausted and dehydrated, and I don't really feel uplifted and energized. I feel sort of, like I said, dehydrated. I end up kind of, having a headache for the rest of the day and get kind of overheated. And so I thought, well, what the heck is that? That doesn't really feel like wellness to me. I know a lot of people really love it. Again, I'm not knocking it. If you love it, and it's for you, that's cool. But for me, I thought, I don't know how healthy this is or how much it's helping so I started to research, what's the benefit? What's the reason why we're doing this? And what I've learned is there's a lot of benefits up to a point. Bikram yoga was always practiced at 104 degrees. And there's a lot of science behind health benefits up to 104 degrees. especially with infrared heat.
Mm.
And what, and I took a lot of classes at a lot of other studios. There was one in Miami in particular that I'm absolutely obsessed with. The class I took there, it was awesome. But in the places that do it well and have infrared heat at 104 degrees, the experience is elevated. It feels like wellness. It makes you feel healthy and strong and detoxified and flexible and empowered. But what happens is in some yoga studios, it becomes like a competition to see who can withstand the most heat. And so some studios get into this sort of competitive, we're the hottest hot yoga around in town. And a lot of people love that. And that's cool if that's your jam, but it's not really mine. I want to make sure that people are filling their cup and not getting depleted or overstretching or getting hurt and things like that. So again, one of our core values is about balance. We're always trying to find the middle ground and the balance between two things. So while yes, I see lots and lots of benefit to hot yoga, I think that it can be done in a way that is more depleting than energizing. And so it was really important to me that we are mindful and thoughtful about the kind of heat that we have in our studio, and that we're intentional about why we're using heat. You know, I'm not interested in competitive yoga where we try to beat each other at being able to survive in more horrible environments than others. That's not what yoga is about to me. To me, yoga is about lifting each other up and making ourselves feel better, not worse. And so we invested really heavily in our infrared heaters, even more than we did in our audio visual, which is significant too. But we really wanted to make sure that what we were doing was adding wellness and benefit to people's lives and not accidentally stripping wellness and benefits out of it, which can be done if you overheat with the wrong kind of heat.
Thank you for being so descriptive about that. And that makes so much sense because it really shows how much like effort research you've put into that studio. It's like everything is super intentional, which is beautiful. And it just shows a reflection of who you are and how you truly want to inspire and help people be better, healthier, and step into that better version of themselves, which is so beautiful. So, how do you handle being a mom of five and then being an entrepreneur? And being a mompreneur is really tough nowadays. And how did that lifestyle, or how did you balance both of that together? It's a lot.
I would be lying if I said it wasn't hard. You know, there's been some years that have been really hard. Now my kids are a little bit older. It feels really easy, but I have an amazing partner. I mean, my husband's awesome. And he drives lots of carpool lanes and puts together a lot of meals and things too. We do a really good job, I think, of tagging each other out and contributing. And so that's great. And then also in my businesses, I have been so incredibly ridiculously lucky to have awesome teams. So I am not a one woman show doing all these things by myself. In fact, I'm at my house right now talking to you, and I've got two businesses operating without me being there. And my kids are going to get picked up without me going to pick them up. So as much as I'd like to take credit for being superwoman, I'm just really surrounded by lots of really amazing people. So I keep hustling and do all that I can every day, but I also delegate a lot to amazing people that are around me. I think the best advice I ever got is that you should always surround yourself with people that are smarter than you are. You know, I'm not the best bookkeeper. I'm not the best marketer. I'm not the best salesperson. I'm not the best yoga teacher, but I can coordinate all of those people and motivate those people and build good teams. And I think that's really my role more than trying to be all the things, is to try to surround myself with people that are good at all the things. That would probably be the best advice I could ever give anybody who's trying to do everything, is let people help you.
Oh my gosh, that's like the perfect advice for me right now because as a type A, you really want to control everything.
It's hard to let go.
Yeah, so I'm like, how did you let go and just be able to, like you said, you are surrounded by amazing people, but how did you let go of that in the beginning, initial? I'm sure it was really hard for you to just trust in that. And just let go. I
I
have
think it is
that issue right now. I'm like, oh, but I
I
know.
think it's the hardest thing for any business owner ever. I mean, we all know people that own restaurants and they do all the cooking, or, they own a dry cleaner and they clean all the clothes, or they own a dog groomer and they groom all the dogs. It's a lot of small business owners can't delegate things because other people aren't going to do them as well as you could do them yourself. And I definitely went through a long phase in my career like that, where I'm like, I'm not going to have any employees, I'm not letting anybody do anything. I'm doing it all myself. And the lesson I learned the hard way, and I hope maybe some of your listeners could be inspired to just skip a step and not have to learn it the hard way, is you can't you can, but you just can't grow. You're going to get stuck because you only have 24 hours in a day. So you will always be limited to what you can do with your own two hands in 24 hours in a day. And that is not enough to change the world. It just isn't. If you're trying to make a huge impact and challenge yourself to see what you're capable of, you're going to be disappointed if you can't learn to rely on other people. So there have been cases where I felt like I had to hire two people to do something I could have done myself. But there's been other cases where I'm like, wow, I don't know why I tried to do that for so long. This person I hired is way better at it than I ever was. So that it happens both ways. Sometimes you're disappointed that it's not going as well as it was when you were handling it, but sometimes you're really surprised that somebody else was able to handle it so much better than you were. And you, like I said, if you just kind of keep motivating teams and trying to get people in the right roles and help people do things that they're really, really good at, and don't force people to do things that they're not good at or that they don't want to do. You can learn those management skills over time and get to a point where you get really comfortable with having a team around to delegate to.
But what was the first thing that you had someone delegate in your business? Because you wear so many hats all the time. How do you know which one to let go, I guess, and then focus on the others? I think that's a struggle for me right now because I know I can delegate, but then I'm like, should I delegate this or that?
Well, the other thing that's really scary is you feel like when you have a small business, like I had my first small business was a carpet cleaning company. And so I bought a van. There was a guy who was in an accident and it was permanently disabled. And he had a van and carpet cleaning equipment in the van, but he hadn't been working for a couple of years. So he had no clients or anything. So I bought this business from him, but it was a business with no customers. So I paid him like 12 grand and I bought a truck full of equipment. And he had somebody teach me how to use it. And so the very first thing, I don't want to clean carpets. So the very first thing I have to do is hire a carpet cleaner. And I'm going to work on trying to get customers and build a website and all the things. And I'm still working a full-time job. This was the job I was trying to build when my son was a baby. And um, I didn't know how to do anything. I just knew that I wanted to try to figure out how to work for myself. And so the first person I hired was a carpet cleaner to drive my van around and go clean carpets while I worked on the administrative side and sales side. I would sit there and do math and I'm like, this isn't going to work. I got to pay my rent's $500 and we only brought in $700. Well, if I hire this guy, I got to give him 500. Now I'm only going to get 200. Now I'm not going to have enough for my rent, right? This was my math conundrum that I'm looking at. And it was like, I can't afford. And I was actually, my dad has always been a good business coach to me. I've always bounced, I still do. I call my dad and bounce ideas off of him when I'm kind of stuck. And I would kind of run through the math with him on it. And he goes, well, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I'm going to work on the marketing. I'm going to find more clients. I'm going to, try to see if I can run some ads. I'm going to answer the phone. And he said, well, don't you think that stuff's going to bring in business? And I said, well, yeah, that's right. Why I'm doing it. Right. He goes, well, then you're not going to bring in $700 anymore. You'll bring in more because you're going to be working. Why don't you just try it? And I said, well, I don't know. I'm scared. I'm just trying to buy groceries, but let me try it. And so I hired this carpet cleaner when I couldn't afford him, thinking that I'm giving him the money that I'm using to pay my rent. And I'm not going to be able to buy groceries because I'm giving him $500 I don't have. And this miraculous thing happens that all of a sudden the next month we do like $1,400 in business. And you go, oh, whoa, that was weird, because I wasn't trying to be in a truck. I could spend the time behind my computer grinding and working and making contacts and connections and building a client base and selling. Now all of a sudden we're making more money. And then I hired another carpet cleaner, and guess what? Then we started making like $3,000. I'm like, wow, I give this one 500 and that one 500. We're making $3,000. This is working. And it's happened. The yoga studio is my 11th LLC. It has happened every time in every business over and over, and it never stops being scary. I'm sitting here building a yoga studio, building it, painting, putting in hardware, putting in audio visual, hiring yoga teachers. Why do I have any customers? Who's going to pay all these teachers? I hired 12 teachers. Who's going to pay 12 teachers? We don't have any customers. It never stops being scary, but it has continuously proven itself every single time to work. You know who pays your employees? Your customers. It's not you. You're not taking it out of your rent. You're not taking it out of your grocery money. Your customers are going to pay your employees. Your job is to keep the customers coming. And so when you shift your mindset, it actually helps you make more money to spend money on people, but it never stops being terrifying. Never. You just have to do it anyway, even though you're scared. But it always makes you money to hire good people. And I think the best way to start, if you're brand new to the idea of hiring people, is instead of hiring employees, hire other small businesses, like outsource your marketing to a marketing company, outsource your accounting to a bookkeeper. Find people that are doing stuff for a living that your business needs and hire them to help you. They're usually more expensive than having an employee is, but it's less commitment. You're not going to have to fire somebody if you need to cut it back again. So that's usually kind of a safe baby step to take. Getting help for the first time is just find some consultants on like a short-term contract and help you for 30 days on something. And if it doesn't free up your time so that you can drive more money to your business, it will be the first time I've seen that happen.
Thank you for all of those amazing tips. That's so powerful. And it makes me as a mompreneur trying to do everything feel more at ease. Like that does make sense. When you delegate and you let other people do the work, then you can, focus your energy on bringing in the clients. So do you have any tips on like bringing in the clients or the sales part? Because you never owned a business, but then you had it in you. You were just able to do that. Do you feel like it's a skill that you've always had or that you had to develop through time?
I guess maybe a little bit of both. I mean, I just love to talk to people. That's how I ended up, the yoga studio is sort of the culmination of all my prior business experience. And I'm trying to give back. I'm trying to put it all. Obviously, I need business to be profitable, so it stays in business. But I also just wanted to do something really good for people and for my community. And I think that it's just kind of my nature to want to talk to people and find out what they need and what they like. And I think that customer service or that people pleasing I have a background in hospitality. I worked in restaurants and hotels in my youth. I waited tables for, oh my gosh, like 15 years or something, a long time, all through high school and college and beyond, even when I was first starting my companies. And so, my job was just to talk to lots and lots of people. So I am really comfortable. I've never met a stranger. I'm really comfortable talking to people. But I think the most important thing, when people think of sales, they think of like trying to force somebody into something. And it's a lot easier when the thing that you're selling is something that's adding value for people. So, if you can make a paradigm shift in your own mind that you're not hard selling somebody to give you their money because you need their money, instead you're gifting them an amazing service that their life really needs, and you're going to be able to improve their life with the gift that you're giving them. It's not dirty, rotten, sneaky sales. It's something every single day customers cry in my arms and thank me for the amazing gift that I'm giving them. That's not sales. It is sales. That's how we pay the rent. But sales isn't the dirty word that people think it is. It's just building relationships and connection and helping people find what they need in this life, filling voids that people have by providing them with goods and services that they need. And I think if you think of that way, that you're spreading love and giving people gifts, it gets a lot easier. You just, I wouldn't advise that you take a job where the thing that you're selling is ripping people off. that doesn't feel good in your heart, find something to do that feels good in your heart.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Thank you for that. That makes it easier for especially mompreneurs or right now coaching or coaches who sell not a physical product, but you're selling the experience, And I
Right.
struggle with is like, are you selling yourself or are you selling the experience? And so I've struggled with that. And I know a lot of other coaches who are heart centered like me struggle with that. They're like, oh my gosh, I just really want to help people. But then again, you gave it a perspective of like, yeah, you're helping, you're giving them a product that they truly need and that they can really transform their life. There's nothing wrong with that. But in my mind, I
Well,
always think of it as salesy. Like why do a salesy have to be a negative term? It doesn't have to be.
Well, and like I just told you 5 minutes ago, you should go out and find somebody who can help you in your business. And so, if you take that advice, we'll get off this call and you'll go on Google and be like, I need a bookkeeper. Let me look for a bookkeeper. Well, if that bookkeeper is like, well, I don't want to take her money. It feels salesy for me to help her. Like you're asking, you need help. You're like, I need somebody to help me keep my book straight, or whatever it is, my marketing. I need somebody to help me with my Instagram posts or whatever. That person isn't taking something from you, they're gifting your business with a resource that it needs. I mean, we're all exchanging money is just exchanging energy. I mean, we could trade in apples or goats or something else, whatever, but there's nothing bad about exchanging money for goods and services because that's how we get stuff that we need.
Yeah.
So I don't think that charging people money for something that they need is bad or evil or, inherently dirty. It's not. It's they're asking you for it. They're thanking you for giving it to them.
That's true. I love that so much. Man, this is such perfect timing because I'm going through a lot of inner reflection and self-reflection, and it's a lot of belief systems that I've created in my mind. And I'm sure a lot of my listeners go through the same things as me as being a mompreneur as well, and being heart-centered and empathetic and just all that thing is it's hard to break free from what your narrative is. And so it's such a nice perspective from you who done it all and you're balancing everything and you're like the true essence of how it's doable. And
Thank you.
it's so refreshing and it's nice to be able to see that there is a win at the other side. There is. And I've been, I guess, around everybody's like in the beginning stage of their entrepreneurship and stuff. And it's hard in the beginning. It is.
Oh,
But
it's hard all the way through. It's hard all the way through, but it's so incredibly worth it.
yeah. When
I
you
mean, if I got to go pick my kids up, I go pick my kids up. If I feel like leaving the country for 3 weeks, I can leave the country for 3 weeks. But the flip side of that is I got to grind. I got to hustle. A lot of people depend on me. I have a lot of stress because if I don't continue to perform, then I mean, there's 60 people that could lose their house if I don't perform, because all these employees and people, customers, whatever, all depend on me to keep grinding. And so it never stops being hard. It never stops being scary, but it is so incredibly worth it. I mean, my work-life balance is something that I don't know anybody else that has a better life than I do. I mean, I get to go on crazy adventures and I have horses in my backyard and I've been present for my kids and my grandkids and all those kinds of things that a regular corporate 9 to 5 job would have never given me. But I also get up at 2 a.m. having an anxiety attack and get on my computer and, and work too. It's not all easy. It's
Mm,
just all worth it. It's like
mm,
raising kids, it's not easy to have kids. People don't have kids because it's easy. People have kids because it's worth it.
yeah, that's
My
so
businesses are just more of my kids.
yeah. That is so true. My husband just literally said that too. Because I was like, yeah, isn't Jem like hard to deal with when she's throwing a tantrum? He's like, it's not hard. It's just she's just throwing a tantrum. And I was like, oh, okay, I like the rewording of that. And he never thinks of being a father as being hard. He's just like something we have to go through. And it is rewarding at the end of the day. Or
Well,
whatever.
he's a better person than I am because I thought parenting was really hard. Still is. It continues to be really hard.
I feel like it's hard, but maybe it's because he doesn't deal with her all day long. He has a 9 to 5, so he leaves for a period of time. So he has more time to himself. So when he comes back, he's like, "Oh, this is so refreshing. It's easy." Yeah.
I know. It's really funny. My husband and I have kind of throughout the years gone back and forth where, there were times when he was gone from the house and I was working at home, and there's times when he's worked at home and I was working out of the house. And it's hilarious. It's like the person who's been home all day, when the other person gets home, is like, let's go out to dinner. I got to get out of this house. I feel like a slave to these kids in this place and I want to go. And the other person's like, all I want to do is just come home. Can I please just come home? And then we switch roles, like some other opportunity comes up later in life and now he's home with the kids and I'm out in the field working, and and then it's role reversal. And it's taken us a long time. We finally have a rhythm to it where we're both kind of doing what and our kids got older. That helps a lot too. It's not now they can get dressed and do their own bath time and all that kind of stuff. When kids are little, it's like you got to really tag each other out and take turns taking breaks. And I think the best thing for that is just have separate social lives, so that, because there's so many times I would go out with my girlfriends or go take a trip with girlfriends, and then I'd come back refreshed, and then he'd go on a golf trip with his buddies, and then he'd come back refreshed, and then I'd go out to dinner with a friend and come back refreshed. And to tag each other out, the confidence to take turns and let each other take breaks really went a long way for us.
Oh, that's good. I believe that. I think that's so necessary. And in my mind, as a new mom, not new, but still she's 2, about to be 3, you feel guilty for leaving your kid, or you feel guilty, but it's so necessary to leave and have your time to just, yeah, just figure out who you are again. And not
That's
just,
one of those parallels again where, I feel like my businesses have so much in common with my kids. They are my kids. If you can't step away from them and refill your cup and become inspired and patient again, you're not going to be the best parent you can be. That's when you start yelling at your kids and just sticking them in front of the TV because you're burned out and you're tired and you're sick of the same old day after day. If you step away from, doing every job in your business or doing every job in your family, and you let other people, what a mess my family makes in the kitchen when they're responsible for making dinner. It's horrifying. I can't stand it when other people make dinner. My kids, and my husband, they just trash the place and they're eating a bunch of junk food, and it's like makes me crazy. But if I let them do that, I can go out to dinner with my girlfriend and feel like a new woman. And I come home and I want to put my kids to bed and give them kisses and play. Where before, if I would have stayed home and made dinner, yeah, the kitchen would have been cleaner and everybody would have ate something healthier and dinner time would have gone smoother. But I'd have been so tired that I've been yelling at 8 o'clock for everyone to get their butts in bed instead of being the caring, nurturing, rejuvenated mom that I could be when I take time to just reset my own soul. And that's where yoga comes in for me too. My husband will say to me, when is the last time that you got on your yoga mat? When I'm getting wound up and irritated and short tempered, it's like, I think you should go get on your yoga mat. I'm like, gosh, I think you're right. I'm feeling kind of pent up. You got to have a place to reset and release.
yeah, it makes so much sense though. And then I feel like you're speaking to my soul, because you are that type A, high achieving, and you have the same mentality and mindset that I have, and I'm just stuck. And so this conversation is just so inspiring. It's making me like pumped up to change things around, to like really change the energy within my household, because it just,
Awesome.
yeah, it just feels kind of stagnant in a way. And it's like, no, it needs to change, and you're the example of that. Can you
And life is about different phases too. I mean, every single one of anybody who tells you they don't sometimes hate their husband or hate their business or want to murder their kids is lying. We all feel like that sometimes. Like, it's all right. That's just part of it. You'll feel better tomorrow. And it's nice if you have a place when you feel that brewing and you're like, okay, I'm getting stressed out. I'm not feeling rewarded. Everything I'm doing isn't working well. You need something. I go walk my dog or go on a trip or go get on my yoga mat or something. Or like I said, go to dinner with a friend, but have your own set of tools in your toolbox where you're like, I used to go get my nails done, whatever. Like, find a thing that makes you feel rejuvenated. And when you're feeling really like pent up and pissed off and stuck, stop, walk away from all of that and go reset. Figure out a way to to find yourself a little bit of headspace, a little bit of mental reset. And then you'll come back refreshed and feeling better. But it means you got to let go of some of the control of things. You got to let other people handle stuff while you go take an hour.
Yeah, let go of the control. That is so hard
So hard, but it's worth it.
I know. It is worth it. And it's funny because I signed up for like an intensive course or retreat thing next week where it's 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and I'm going to have to let my husband handle most of the stuff. And it's giving me anxiety. Like, I can't control the situation. I don't know what you guys are going to eat. I don't know how it's getting to school, but it's going to happen. I don't.
And you know what, Kathy? He's going to screw up everything. Your house is going to look like a bomb went off. Your kid's going to eat a bunch of junk food, but you're going to have an amazing week. And at the end of it, I want you to just ask yourself, was it worth it? Was the reset I got worth it that my house got bombed while I was gone?
Yeah. And for sure, it will be worth it. It will be. But at the time,
I know.
Oh, that is so good, though. That is true. Gotta let go of the control, though. That's how you're only gonna change.
And you're gonna have to clean up the mess, but at least you'll be rejuvenated. So you'll have the energy to clean up the mess when you get back.
Oh, that's so true. I love that. It's true. It's not gonna get done no matter what.
Nope. And don't expect it to. Don't give yourself any expectations. Just know that you're coming home to the mess and you're gonna handle it when you get back. Don't get mad at him because he didn't do it, because I'm telling you right now, he's not gonna do it. It's all right. It's worth it. If you got to clean it all up when you get back, it's worth it to have the week to yourself.
I love your mentality. Have you always been like so open-minded like this, or through
Oh no.
or yoga has helped you?
Yeah, it's been a really intentional act to try to find balance in life. It doesn't come naturally to any of us, I don't think. I mean, you have to really, I have journaled and set intentions and set goals. And then I reset my goals and change my mind about the direction and rewrite new plans. But life doesn't really go well if we wait for it to accidentally just pass by. You have to intentionally create your path.
Yeah, I believe that. I'm slowly learning that. Like, I can't just wait around. I have to make things happen, or else it's never going to happen.
And you got to stop, as little girls were raised to wait for this, knight in shining armor, which my husband is an amazing knight in shining armor, but he ain't gonna come in and, just do the dishes when nobody asked him to or whatever. You have to just save yourself, create your own fantasy. If you want nice things, buy them for yourself. If you want nice trips, take yourself on nice trips. If you'll be disappointed if you just keep waiting around for somebody else to fulfill all of your dreams for you. Be your own hero.
Yeah.
You know what you want, get it for yourself. Don't wait for somebody else to get stuff for you, because that's just disappointment and heartbreak waiting to happen, because other people are doing their own thing. Even if they love you, they're still looking at their life from their perspective. You have to be your own hero in your own life.
Yeah. Having that mentality, I feel, is like a lot of self-love for yourself to be able to even say that,
Totally.
People
I actually have, this is going to sound weird, but I actually have those conversations with myself. I'll be like, I don't know, I'll clean my whole kitchen before I leave. And then I'll come home and I'll say, thank you, Ashley, for cleaning the kitchen for me so that I get to come home to a nice clean kitchen. It's like, I have a little gratitude for myself. Like, wow, darn I spoiled. Look at this person that takes such good care of me. It's me. Yep. Look at me. But that way you're not always disappointed somebody didn't take care of you. I do have somebody that provides for me and cares for me and nurtures me and knows just what I need. It's me.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, that's like the perfect takeaway out of all of that. Like, that was a perfect tip to end this conversation, because that is true. That is the definition of self-love, because you love yourself that much and you give yourself acknowledgement. I think we don't give ourselves enough acknowledgement and reflect on what we do all day. We're just like, oh my God, I've done this, and this person has not done that to match me. And it's
No, that's a losing game. Don't play that game.
Yeah, I play that game all the time. I'm trying not to.
We all do. We all do, but it's not going to bring you happiness to try to control the actions of others. You got to read Let Them Theory. Have you read the Let Them Theory?
Not yet.
That one helped me with that so much. It's such a good reminder. Just quit trying to control other people. That is a losing game.
Yeah, for sure. I totally get it. I think the concept I get, but then putting it into action is the harder part, right?
Yeah, totally. It is. You need the reminders for sure.
Yeah, so that's perfect. Thank you so much for today. This was such an inspiring and perfect combo that I needed to hear. And I truly believe in divine timing and why we're brought together. And
Me
so
too.
it was so beautiful and in such the right, perfect timing. So thank you for being such a beautiful soul. If last but not least, where can people find more about you, your studio, and yeah.
NamasteYoga.com.
Okay.
That's the easiest. There's links there to everything else, all the socials and more information, how to get in touch with me and all those things are all there on the business site.
Perfect. I'll also put it in the show notes below. But thank you again for this lovely conversation and giving such beautiful insight into entrepreneurship and being a mom and doing all this amazing thing that you do. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I can't wait to hear about how next week goes.
Oh, yes, I'll keep you posted. All right. Thank you.
Okay, bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for spending this time with me on Ignite Your Power with Kathy Mou Podcast. If today's episode resonated with you, take a deep breath and know this: you're exactly where you're meant to be. If you're feeling called to go deeper, I'd love to support you. You can work with me one-on-one or book a numerology guidance card reading with me. All are in the show links below. And if this episode supported you in any way, please share with someone who needs it, leave a review, or take a screenshot and tag me on social media. Your support helps this message reach more souls who are ready to step into their power. Until next time, keep choosing yourself, keep trusting your journey, and keep living your bliss soft life. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye!